Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Super Soldier Talk. I'm James Rink, it's December 11th, 2016, and today I have a very exciting roundtable discussion to bring you about the Secret Space Program, and I have Elena, Link, Penny Braley, and Lindsey Hooper with me, and today we're going to discuss about the Secret Space Program being a criminal enterprise. And I was talking to Penny earlier about the various kidnapping of children, and I think a lot of people out there think that the Secret Space Program is here to save humanity, where that they're going to release, because they are a breakaway civilization, according to Corey Goode and Randy Kramer and some other various whistleblowers. It appears that the Secret Space Program is, in fact, enslaving its own people, similar to what happens here on Earth. So, would someone like to comment about the kidnapping of children part? Is that how essentially they bring people into the Secret Space Program, or is it something you're born into, like through the alien abductee phenomenon?
Yes, it's something that you're born into as far as genetics. Genetics are definitely do play a part in being sought after and chosen for these programs. And yes, it does start as a child, and it is kidnapping and it is slavery. Definitely, as they train us and other children for weapons, for their own weapons to be used in certain criminal acts and undercover and black ops, and it's a disgrace. So yes.
Lindsey, could you introduce yourself to the audience and just to give a little very brief bio background, because some people don't know who you are.
Yeah, that's fine. My name is Lindsey Hooper. I am a Milab abductee, also a super soldier. I was taken at the age of between 5 and 6 into a Milab ship, and James and I were actually going to be going into depth in a week or so about the extent of my experiences. I was also involved in Project Paperclip. I was used off planet for government operations, and trained to do central intelligence jobs for them. But like James had said, it starts at a very young age. You're taken and you're used off planet and on planet, and it is kidnapping and it is slavery, because we do these jobs and we do not get paid for them. I'm going to give you a slight example. I just recently met someone. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but he has these super soldier abilities. He was in a sort of prison, and he literally scaled and escaped and jumped a 20-foot wall. He was then injected and taken to an underground base. And when he woke up and was released out on the streets and has no memory, he was also notified that he, through, I guess, email or some kind of bank accounts, mails notifications that he actually has millions of dollars in bank accounts around the world, and he has no idea how. So, kidnapping, slavery.
Certainly,
slavery.
Thank you, Lindsey. And I want to give the other two guests a chance to introduce themselves very briefly. Penny, you're next. So I know we've actually done an interview together, and I highly recommend the listeners to check that out on Super Soldier Talk. But just briefly, can you tell the audience what it is you do and what's your involvement in the Secret Space Program?
I was also genetically modified before I was born. My initial kidnapping was I was 4, and I was taken to Langley for 5 years, and mind fractured and then trained as a psi weapon. I was also trained in the Montauk program during that time. I was 9 when I was taken to Mars. I spent 25 years on Mars. I left Mars in 1990 and spent 25 years in Dark Fleet as a ship navigator. In 2014, I was age regressed and time traveled back to when I was taken in 1959. And since then, I have been a MK Ultra project. I have alters that one is a super soldier and another one is a CIA agent. According to Peter, all of my memories of the programs are correct. Peter checked with my ACIO file, so I have been vetted. In Dark Fleet, I was a ship navigator, and my ship transported slaves, materials, and cyborgs all across the solar system and general space where areas where there were not jump gates.
And we certainly will talk a little bit more about the slaves, because you certainly brought up an interesting point about that earlier. But I wanted to give Ileana a chance to introduce herself, and of course she's done an interview with me as well on Super Soldier Talk. But for the viewers who have not seen it, that they will, or familiar with your work, Ileana, can you please explain a little bit about yourself and what your role was in the Secret Space program?
So my name is Ileana Kapolnik. Real name is Elena, but I prefer to go by my soul name, which is Ileana these days. My experiences began at the age from 2 to 10. I was abducted by 2 sets of different reptilian groups and also a harvester ET being who's very tall and looked humanoid. So from the age of 4, I was basically injected with nanonite or femtite technology. I was injected with 36,000 of these femtites in my body in order to ruin my nervous system. Because they wanted to, they had seen in the future that I would be part of disclosure work, that I would be part of the ascension and disclosure work right now in this current time frame. So they wanted to kill me and shut me down at a very young age. And these nanites caused me to be sick all the time, to have viruses, to be in the hospital. It basically broke down my nervous system. I have autoimmune diseases. I have neurological issues, hemiplegic migraines with paralysis. So basically, they wanted to kill me, but they didn't succeed. I survived, so I was abducted constantly, and I was taken into underground bases from the age of 4 to 10, and I was experimented with. I saw kids being chained to the walls, waiting for them to be taken into the underground base labs. I grew up in the Ukraine, so this was, I remember being taken into another country from Ukraine, somewhere in Europe, and then also being taken in the United States bases, where these experiments were done with the reptilians and the gray harvester humanoid ET man. And these guys, all 3 of them were male. So, and there was a reptilian that was black, one green, and grayish, palish, gray, white skinned guy, the tall guy. So that's what I have memories of. And basically, I was sick through most of my childhood. And I migrated from countries from Ukraine to Israel and then to Canada. And while these immigrations were happening, I was put in various Milab programs where they drowned me. They tried to change my brain into being a supercomputer. So I have perfect memory, recall of everything. I have photographic memory because they tinkered around with my brain from the age of 5 to 10 to make sure both of my hemispheres, left and right hemisphere of my brain, were working exactly the same. You know, our hemispheres are different. They have different functions. Mine is, they work the same, both hemispheres of the brain. It works like a supercomputer. So I have a lot of downloads coming in of information. I could see the future. I have almost full memory recall of my time in a quantum leap 60 years and back in an SSP program. And this happened from 2000 to 2011 to 14, where I was put into the SSP program. But first, before that, I was put in a Monarch program where they drowned me continuously, where they tested my psychic abilities to see how much remote viewing I could do. They had me remote viewing Mars bases as prep training for when I would go on Mars in the 60 and back quantum leap time travel program. They constantly drown me, torture me. I am immune to any types of pain. They beat me. They whip me with electrical whips to make sure I didn't feel any pain. Like, even if I'm getting my teeth done, fillings, whatever, I don't take freezing because you can do a root canal on me and I won't feel the pain. You can stab me and I won't feel any pain. So there's no guilt in association with feeling pain or administering pain. That's what they trained me. And when I went into the Quantum Leap time travel program from 2000 until 2011 and to 2014, basically I was doing translation work in linguistics. I would be taken in various ET meetings and I was supposed to record and translate what was going on. In the Super Federation meetings, that was part of it. And then I was supposed to encode and decode that translations into a secure database. That was like 10 years. Another 14 years was spent in aeronautics, designing hyperdimensional ships with neuro interface programming. So you don't have to push buttons when you're in these ships. You use the neuro interlink and you connect your brain to the ship and you navigate the ship. That's something that I was working on. I didn't build the ships physically, but I was working on the Neuralink technology to advance the shipbuilding. And there's various SSP programs like Solar Warden, ICC, Dark Fleet. And I was.
Well, can you explain the difference between the different SSP programs? Like, what's the difference between the Dark Fleet and Solar Warden? Just briefly, like in a sentence or two.
Sure. So there's the SSP Alliance, which it formed loosely with the people who defected from the interplanetary corporate conglomerate ICC that builds the most advanced technology out there. The Dark Fleet is human breakaway. Basically, it's like an army that works with the Draco, reptilians, and other negatively based species, insectoids, mantids, and they have a few bases on Mars and the Moon, but most of their major cities and bases are outside of this solar system. And they're ruthless. They're willing to kill people. They're willing to manipulate you, damage you in order to coerce you to do what they want. And they don't directly go onto the reptilian ships. They travel in their own ships, but there are reptilian liaisons that are either full reptilian or hybrids, insectoid reptilian hybrids, and they interact with the Dark Fleet as their liaisons because they travel together to conquer other civilizations. And there's a strict no interspecies intercourse. The Dark Fleet does not sleep around with other species except humanoids. That was something else that when I was on the Mars basis, stationed there for most of my work, because I also did informational, I went into their informational centers. I made sure information was encoded and encrypted correctly into the databases. So I was checking on security and encryption in all the databases. That's why I was on the bases so much, mostly on Mars. I can recall 11 bases on Mars and a couple of bases on the Moon. That's what I was doing there.
Can you comment what Solar Warden is? You mentioned that as well.
Solar Warden is a mid-level SSP program. They were created in the 70s to 80s, I believe. That's the first stages when they were created. They started off from the government funding, and now they ventured off on their own. They have enough resources to build their own ships that are more advanced. Not as equal to the ICC, but close. They have more advanced ships. I remember I designed some ships for Solar Warden as well. They weren't as advanced as the ICC stuff, and the ICC makes very advanced technology, Neuralink technology, for their ships, and I worked primarily for the ICC, the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. They trade with over 1,000 different ET species. And that's where the slave labor comes in on Mars, and they take unwilling people, they kidnap them, or they entice them with false promises of grandeur. You know, you're going to have a better life than here on Earth. It's not overcrowded. It's going to be much better, cleaner environment on Mars. They're made false promises. And when they come on Mars, it's basically you're put in an 8x10 room or something a bit larger. You're isolated and you're put to work, whatever, building components for these ships. And these guys don't know what they're doing. They're just making parts, separate parts for a whole unit of Neuralink technology, building parts of ship components, alloys, materials, and then it's all put together. So it's all compartmentalized.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that correctly.
Compartmentalization.
But,
yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
You were close. Yeah, you were good. Yeah. So essentially, now Corey Good and Penny may even want to comment about this, and I don't know, Lindsey, if you want to jump in, but Corey Good has said that the ICC is trading trading resources for technology. Is that correct, Penny? Can you comment about that?
I was a navigator on a freighter in Darkfleet. So I was symbiotically linked to the computer of the ship, that using the tech that Elena was just talking about. So I was aware of what we were shipping, and at the time I knew where, but that's been blocked. So I know that what we carried on my ship was those parts she talks about. We carried slaves, and we carried tons of cyborgs. And where the slaves came from, I didn't know, because I had been convinced, brainwashed, mind controlled that Earth was dead. So a lot of us were told they were clones. Well, as a thinking person in this life, this part of the life, I don't see any difference between a clone and an identical twin. But apparently in the secret space program, clones are considered to be soulless, so it's okay to treat them like crap. I don't believe that. And for the record, I apologize to any human being that I transported that was in a slave condition, because I was mind controlled at the time. And the me that is now knows this is wrong and would not do it. But my understanding is the major product that the ICC is selling to these ETs are cyborgs designed to be robotic super soldiers with a human consciousness, because it requires a human consciousness to operate the tech. You have to have a human consciousness to operate the weapons, to operate the ships, to operate even the external exoskeleton that they wear into battle has to have a human consciousness. So each and every one of these is created out of a human being. And that's the main product that the ICC is selling to these 1,000 ET races.
Basically super soldiers or cyborgs.
They're cyborg super soldiers. That's what they're selling.
Well,
And
Corey Good
What
Go
they're
ahead.
getting back is advanced tech.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they are literally selling their fellow human beings for this tech. And most of those cyborgs are created out of kidnapped people. There are over 2 million people that turn up completely missing on Earth. No trace to be found of them whatsoever. And those people are being turned into cyborgs.
right. And Lindsay, you mentioned something about you saw something that Corey Good said that these super soldiers actually exist, but
Well, basically, Corey Good is now claiming, along with David Wilcock, that there are whistleblowers and super soldiers that are now trying to, quote, write themselves into this script. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there for any of the viewers. I'm not saying anything against Corey Good, but I'm only asking you to look at, just go back and watch all of the episodes of his show with David Wilcock on Gaia TV. And he blatantly says that there are at least 1 million people involved in my lab. Okay, so he's basically discounting 1 million people that are going to come forward and tell the truth. He's basically discounting us, discrediting us, and our, what have you. And if he wants to follow that path, that's perfectly fine. That's not my karma. That's something that he's going to have to deal with, because he blatantly admitted that there were at least 1 million people involved in this, and now he's saying that I guess some of us are trying to write ourselves into the script. And I'm just going to tell you one thing: what I would give to have a normal life, what I would give to have not been kidnapped, what I would have given to have not been used in Montauk, what I would have given to have not been used on Mars, what I would have given not to been used on Project Paperclip and be present during 9/11 and work for the CIA, what I would have given to not have a child taken from my womb, and been kidnapped myself. And so I could go on and on, but for someone to say that, and for such torture and slavery, the things that are going on, and you're exactly right, Penny, that's what they are transporting. They're transporting human consciousness. They're transporting human slaves, and it's not right. I don't care. I mean, I care.
have you seen it?
Have
Lindsay,
I seen
have you
it?
witnessed? Yeah, have you witnessed the cyborgs?
Yeah, I have. So
have I.
So I've witnessed that. I've witnessed and just.
And by the way, I'm a cyborg. I didn't give an
Yeah.
introduction about myself, but that's my role in all this.
Yeah,
is
definitely.
being a cyborg.
And I can't say publicly who someone is, because they're very dear to my heart, and they're at a very young age. I can't just say publicly right now. But I will say that yes, James, you definitely are. And with what was said earlier, seeing, I actually was taken to Montauk. I was used in the Montauk chair. I saw children. I saw children in cages. I saw children chained. I saw so many things. I was put through a lot. I really was. And so I'm doing my best not to get really fiery here, because I am a super soldier, and I don't put up with injustice or BS. But I'm really gonna say right now, I'm trying so hard to hold back, but really, honestly, right now, screw anyone who thinks we're just bullshitting. Excuse my French. Because what I would give to live a normal life, what I would give to not have these memories, what I would give to be able to walk around and not be able to hear people's thoughts, and not be able and not hear high frequencies that pierce my ears, what I would give to have people back that I've lost, what I would give. I mean, I can't tell you. And it takes a lot to sit here and talk about these things. So thank you so much, James. Thank you, Penny. And thank you, Elena. It means so much. It really does. because that's the same thing, Elena. They knew that I was going to be a part. They knew we were all going to be a part of Disclosure, but they really put me through a lot of things because they knew that I was promised I was going to be an astronaut. All these things. I was in the NASA club, everything. I'm just saying, whoever, like I think that's enough for now.
Yeah. Well, can you comment? Can you comment about your experiences on the Phobos base and who you met there in the hangar bay?
Well, I mean, James. I mean, I was with you. We did a lot of. It's really I could write a book. I literally and I actually plan on writing a book and a script. I don't think I know, because the story, not the story, but the experience is so long and so drawn out about everything that I have gone through and witnessed. But James and I have worked very closely on Phobos and on Mars. And literally, when we were on our way to the Mars conference, we had almost 4 hours of missing time where we were on a mission. And then on the way back from the Mars conference, he thought it was a rash appeared on his arm, and it was not a rash. We were on a mission, and we do have pictures to prove that, by the way. I made him. I took a picture of it so we could document this.
Yeah, and I'll add the picture to the video. Yeah, apparently Peter claims it was something related to shape-shifting, which is how I actually turned into a cyborg, in case people are wondering why I don't look like one right now. Right. Yeah, well, thank you, Lindsey. And so what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and just ask a question. I'm going to go around the round table, and you can all answer it. And Penny, I want to start with you, because we were talking about this earlier. Some people have come up to me and said a lot of these super soldier cyborgs, some of them are actually really good. They're fighting the New World Order. They're going after the pedophiles. They're destroying some of the Dracos, the bases. They're also conducting missions off-world to help, I guess, the secret space program. So what is your comment about that? Are any of these cyborgs being used for any benevolent purpose? Well, good.
Okay. My view of what's going on in the secret space program as a whole is colored by 25 years in Darkfleet. We were told Earth was dead. There was no question of ever coming back to Earth, because there was a nuclear war that involved ETs, and Earth was uninhabitable. It was
destroyed in a cobalt bomb.
I don't remember the cobalt bomb word, but that's basically it. It was destroyed. There's nobody on Earth, as far as the secret space program. As far as Darkfleet is concerned, the high echelon probably knows better, but I was a lieutenant. I was an officer. And if the officers are being told Earth is dead, why would anybody defect? There's no place to go. In your basic training, they teach you they can kill you and dump you in a regeneration tank, modify your programming, and you're going to do it anyway, so you might as well do it the first time. There is no option. There's nobody...
Then Penny, why do you think they send you back? Why not just keep you there? Why they bother putting you back, bring you back to Earth?
That I don't know. Because they sent me back to being 4 years old, and then they used me for another 2 different programs since then. But it was, you go along this, I was gone for 55 years, and the whole time Earth was dead. I wasn't even speaking English during that time. I was speaking German, because the Germans in Antarctica are in charge. Only we didn't call them that. We called them High Command. High Command is German. And they were in charge. And there was no Earth. And you did what you were told, or you were put out an airlock. And it was a very Teutonic society that I was dumped into at 9 years old. At 9, I didn't speak German yet, and I was dumped into Mars colony with no parents, nobody to stand up for me in a Teutonic society. So yeah, I can be really aggressive because I had to be to survive. And I was modified with psi abilities, where when I get mad, I fry electronics, I do all kinds of really bizarre things that we don't want to go there. But what has really amazed me is the number of people who think that there is an alliance of defectors, because I left in 2014 and there weren't then. So if they've come up with them, it's been in the last 2 years, because there were not any in 2014.
Elena, would you like to comment about that? You said there was a secret SSP alliance of
There
defectors.
is, yeah, and they've just started recently. It's 1.5 years ago. It's not. Penny's right. 2014 was just stick by the books in your programs and don't defect. These guys are programmed to do their jobs, to serve in what they're put in. There's contracts. When you go into a secret space program, you sign a contract, and you play by that book which you signed the contract for. That's what you do. You keep quiet, you do your job, otherwise there's consequences if you try to retaliate and defect. Some of these people have implants. If you think about leaving Mars, you're hit with an electrical signal to your implant and you have a migraine. You fall on the floor and there's blood coming out of your nose. Or a seizure. Yeah, I have seizures and paralysis. Just a thought of leaving, they'll make you pay for it through your implant. They'll make you pay
And
for
Lindsey,
it.
yeah, would you like to comment? Did you have experience like that?
I would, because when they were promising me when I was 10 years old up there, or down here, because what happens up there as they age regress you, what happens up there happens here in your physical body, and what have you. Now, when I was 10 years old, 10 years old, I was in the NASA club, as they were promising me I was going to be an astronaut, because I wasn't sensitive to gravity, and still to this day I can spin and spin and spin in circles and not fall down and get dizzy. Now, when I was in the NASA club, I wanted to get out. I wanted to get out so badly, so badly. And literally for 6 months of me trying to get out, or just having the thought, like you said, having the thought of wanting to leave so badly, I was attacked with migraines through my implants, to where I would have to, we went to, my mom took me to several doctors. We even went to the eye doctor. We thought it was, like I couldn't even, in class, I couldn't even see to read, because it would last all day. And by the time I got home, I would literally have to close myself into a dark room, which was very strange. I wouldn't go into my bedroom. I would have to go into my sister's bedroom. It was like there was a portal or of some sort there. Like that was the location where they wanted me. Now, and I would literally have to turn the lights off and hyperventilate myself, literally basically suffocate myself, make myself become unconscious to alleviate the pain, because Advil, Tylenol, nothing would work. I would I remember telling my boyfriend when I was older, when I was like 15 or so, I said, I would have to hyperventilate, to fall asleep. And he said, you could have died. You were basically making yourself unconscious. I said, yeah. And he found that insane. But that's what I had to do. That was the only way to relieve the pain.
And I can concur with you, because right now I have hemiplegic migraines, like fluorescent lighting and LEDs. I can't see a single thing. I bump into things. I can't even concentrate. I get confused, disoriented. I get paralysis. And that's part of the manipulation, what they do to you in the SSP. It comes back to you. When your age regressed and you come back to the physical body, they are mandated to return you to living a human life, because you have to have a free will life at some point. That's why you return, to an earlier question. They can't keep you forever through all of your life. You have to be returned, but you're returned with all kinds of neurological problems, behavioral problems. There's all kinds of stuff, because
you think they could revert? I mean, could they return us so we wouldn't have those issues?
I know that I don't have the issues. I don't have the migraines anymore. I don't have issues with that. What I do have now is increased and heightened sensitivity, abilities, telepathy, remote. Everything they train me in, I have it. It's almost as though, and back to what you said earlier, James, do we think that there are super soldiers that are being used for good? And I do, because I think we're taking our power back, that they built these weapons. They built us as weapons, training us as weapons. And now these weapons that, us as the weapons are regenerating kind of ourselves. We're healing, we're taking our power back, and we are training. I know I am up in high command training super soldiers right now to do good. They in my what I have seen with remote viewing, these super soldiers that are working very, very diligently up there for the good of mankind. They are awakening. They are coming forward with disclosure, and they're kind of going to be like the new police force here on Earth, and really try to take back what has been done wrong. So yes, that is what I will say to you, James, about your comment earlier about how yes, there are super soldiers being used for good.
Okay. Well, can you comment about the other thing we were talking about, where they were telling people on Mars that Earth was destroyed? Do you recall anything about that?
Yes, I do. That's what they told me. They told me that I could not return home, because I kept asking, where are my grandparents, etc. And they told me that my parents had passed away, and that I might be able to see my grandparents one day, etc. I can't say too much, because I want to protect some names and members of my family. Yet I will say that yes, that was what I was shown, is that I couldn't return home, that the Earth, and just like Penny said, that there had been a battle, and Earth was pretty much uninhabitable. They were rebuilding it, trying to,
Here's a good question for the group. So how can we expect the secret space program to save humanity by releasing all these free energy technologies, all these amazing technologies, if they don't even know we exist?
If they don't know,
has anyone thought about that? Yeah, like Benjamin Fulford claims that the secret space program is going to release these technologies, but if the people on Mars and so on don't know that us humans are still alive, then how can they possibly help us?
I don't think they're gonna.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah, Penny says
James,
that they're not going to help us.
No, they're not. They're not, James. The power is in our hands. That's why there are super soldiers that are doing good. Trust me. This technology will be released. We just have to work our tails off for it. We have to stop work. We have to continue working as we are now. Number one, with disclosure. Number two, with developing technology. One of my fellow friends and I, business partners and I, we have a patent on some technology right now. So that's as far as I'm going to go. So
I'll say you need to be very, very, very careful if you have a patent on anything that that overlaps with the SSP, because I have known people who disappeared after getting patents. The only way to stay safe is to make it open source.
Yes, exactly.
According to Dr. Stephen Greer, anything that's 80% over Unity is classified under top secret at the United States Patent Office. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, exactly, and we do understand that,
So-
and the main thing that we're focusing on as well, it's just, like I said, things are in the works, and we're not being stupid about it. We understand all this for sure.
Keep a backup of your blueprints for what you design. Hide it so nobody can see it. Even if you file the patent for it, have their original somewhere. Hide it where nobody could find it. As your proof that it's yours.
It is hidden.
Good, because it could be
proof. You need proof that it's yours, but you also need to make it open source so that it's out of your control, so you are no longer the target.
Right.
I've seen incredible things. I've seen gasoline engines that ran on tap water, and the people who designed the carburetors to do it ended up dead within a week.
Yep. I know.
I came back to 1959, so I've been watching this for a long time. I'm not saying don't do it. Just be really, really, really careful.
Trust me, with my remote viewing and training and everything, I'm very careful, and the same thing with my business partner, my co-founder. Yeah, we are very.
It's all legal. It's an LLC. We're not.
We're
Okay, I want to comment something. This is a new book by John Titer, and he claims that because of the use of fossil fuels, and it's not really fossil fuels, it's basically oil. Oil is blood from volcanic. It's blood from Mother Earth. It's from volcanic activity, but it's destroying the carbon cycle. And eventually, when that cycle becomes unhinged, the planet starts to burn up, and that's where 3D Earth is going to happen. All these people that are suppressing these free energy technologies are going to burn up on 3D Earth, and that's one of the reasons why they set up Mars and the off-world colonies. However, it appears that we, as a collective, most people on planet Earth are not going to experience that timeline. 95% of us are going to ascend to the fifth dimension, whatever you want to call it, where we won't. We will start seeing positive things, and that's what I think is starting to freak the secret space program groups out. Is because now they're going to be exposed. And they're not.
Yeah,
we're
definitely.
Not gonna...
Definitely. And if anyone has ever heard of the G20 group, I'm just going to throw this out there, and I'm not going to mention names, but I'm going to say a lot of these big names, not all of them, but some of them. Just asking the viewers to use discernment. A lot of these big names have made deals with the G20 group, where the G20 group promises disclosure, but it's actually a 10-year disclosure program, so they have 10 more years to harvest slaves. I've actually witnessed and been involved, not involved, but I've witnessed by hacking into witnessing someone hack into a system and witnessing one of these G20 group meetings with some very people in this field who are, going for disclosure. And, but at the same time, we have to look and we have to say, okay, these people are also who are disclosing the secret space program. Their lives are threatened as well. So they're doing the best they know how. I could throw out, I could say a lot, but I'm not going to, because it's simply not.
Do you think the Blue Sphere Being Alliance will save us?
No. I mean, I'm
Okay.
not. I'm not saying that they're not
And he
energetically
says no?
helping. I'm not
What about
saying
you?
they're not.
Yeah. What about you, Eliana? Do you think about the Blue Sphere Being Alliance? Do you think they will save us?
That's a hard question, because I actually had an experience of seeing the blue avians, and they told me to work on myself, to work on my Rainbow Bridge body, because if I can't do it, nobody else can do it for me. They trained me to stay calm, to be relaxed, to work on my soul and my body, to have them both in tune with themselves.
Well,
that's
see,
ascension.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. I just want to say something really quick. They're here to help. I'm not discounting that, but no one is going to save humanity but ourselves. We can't sit here and ask for a savior. We can't think some Pleiadian or ET race is going to come down here and save the planet and make contact and everybody's going to be happy. We've got to put in the work. We have to learn how to transmute things ourselves. We have to evolve ourselves. The power is in our hands. We have to do this. You know, we are responsible for the generations that came before. We have, even if we're not responsible, we still need to take up arms and do what we should do. You know, it's something as simple, and it's kind of like a metaphor. If you see trash on the ground that's not yours, you pick it up. If you care for the earth, you know, we've got to do something.
Yeah, Penny, would you like to comment?
First of all, under natural law, all of us sitting around being silent about who our government leaders are, who's running our country, who's running our planet. As long as you're silent, you're giving consent. As long as we, the people, are giving consent to being ruled by this criminal enterprise, no one benevolent is going to help us, because they see us as giving our free will assent to this.
So what can we do to change this situation?
I've worked with a lot of ETs. A lot of ETs. I've either fought them or I've been working beside them. There is not a single ET race that I have encountered that didn't have an agenda. If they're willing to help us, it's because they want something.
Right. I totally agree.
We have 1,000 ET races that want cyborgs.
Yeah, and I can attest to that, how cyborgs are created on Mars. The ICC, Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerates, they have their base, and they have labs attached to their base. Is called cybernetic labs, or as I like to call them, meat labs, because they take humans, kidnapped humans who did not give their consent to any of this. The German breakaway groups, they developed technology where they can take your soul out from your body, from your physical body, put it into an electrical field, and store it in the electrical field cage. Those were the Third and the Fourth Reich, and they could store that soul in an electrical field, take another human living being, combine it with cybernetic parts and implants, and then put that soul from the other being into that new cybernetic body and activate it, make it walk, make it talk, program it, make it active. And either it's a super soldier or it's a scout, and it's sold to the ETs. And
Then
these super soldiers can be programmed.
And the souls can also go from other timelines as well.
Yes, that's true.
Penny.
Some of them are prisoners of war from the Dark Fleet battles, and they're not even humans.
That's true.
So some of the cyborgs are not humans.
That's true. And I've seen them hanging from wires. They're just, body parts are hanging. The person is hanging. They're unconscious. They're connected to wires. They're naked, and they're just hanging there waiting for their parts to be used from their body, or they're waiting for implantation of another soul into that body for their cybernetic initialization, basically, to come online and serve or be programmed. And this is horrible. It's going on in the ICC. There's a lot of, there's over 100 ICC bases.
What would you call? Go ahead, Lindsay. Were you going to say something?
I'm just saying I've seen it. I was just saying I've seen it. So that's all.
Yeah, So what would you say to people that claim that we're mixing our own imaginations with data from other whistleblowers, and that we're contriving all this information just to create our own UFO religion?
Nope. It's proven. It's just like the theory. It's just like Schrodinger's cat. You know, or it's similar to that theory. You cannot. You cannot discount or pre-impose judgment on someone else's experiences because of quantum physics and quantum realities and all of the parallel realities that do exist. And like I said earlier, James, for someone saying that we're fantasizing or fanaticist or what have you, I'm not going to stand for that because, like I said, this is an imagination. I'm sorry. I wish, that's the thing. And like what Penny said, how they threaten you with these things, they tell you to keep your mouth shut for years so that once you're finally able to speak, you're going to speak, they threaten you, to kill you. So you're afraid to speak about your experiences. I've been holding things in since I was a child. I mean, it's ridiculous. So how dare they say that this is an imagination, that we're trying to write ourselves into some script? Because believe me, I've got better things. I wish right now I would like to be living I guess what you could say, what do the normal people do on Sunday nights? Maybe like watch football or have beer or something.
Yeah.
Or go out to eat and eat some food or we don't make money in this career. We don't. I mean, eventually we.
It
will,
ruins your ability to go corporate.
Right.
People Google your name. Once you do this, people can Google your name for job applications, interviews, and that's it. You're finished.
And that's it. And you're done. And you're done. So we are putting our reputation, our lives, our families on the line for this. So for anyone says it's an imagination, honestly, I'm not trying to be rude, but anyone who says that can kiss my ass, because I'd much rather be drinking beer and watching football or being a zombie than having the memories and having these experiences, because these
Penny,
experiences.
Penny, would you like to add to this?
I have two things to say. I came forward because they were shooting me with directed energy weapons. If they had just left me the fuck alone, I would have never come forward. They were already trying to kill me. I wanted people to know why if they succeeded.
Right.
Number two, all these people that are trying to discredit us are all claiming to be authorized by their agencies. Well, why would they be authorized by their agencies unless they were looking for immunity for the perps?
For what they did.
Correct.
That's right.
Right.
They are looking to, if you listen to how they describe the SSP, and there's more than one of them, they make it sound like a recruitment film. It's all glorious, it's all wonderful, you're going to go out into space and you're going to fight monsters and you're going to come home and be a hero. Bullshit. You're going to come home and you're going to be treated like you're out of your frigging mind.
Yep. That's exactly what's going to happen. Yeah. I love being seen as the crazy one in my family. I love it. It's awesome.
Last month, my son, who is 32, showed up at my house to do a sanity check on me. He showed up with his 31-year-old cousin, who is my nephew. In California, where I live, it only takes 2 blood relatives to do a forced commitment. They were coming to see if I was crazy enough to put me in a loony bin. And my son is not a shrink, but he was using clinical descriptions of my behavior and letting me know that for now I was able to function on my own.
How about you?
If that's not a threat, I don't know what it is.
What about you, Eliana? Do you have issues with your family? Do they believe you, or do you keep it to yourself?
Oh, I don't keep anything to myself. My family knows exactly what's happening to me. There's triangular craft flying above my house that I've taken pictures of. They've been doing it for the last 2 years. They've been doing flybys. The TRB-3Bs, the spy drones. These SSP groups spy on you. If you've remembered stuff, about your memories being in the SSP, they spy on you. They abduct you. They send assassins to your home to threaten you not to disclose information.
I got a
They do all
CIA
that.
van outside, down the corner. I can put a
They
photo of it
torture
in
you.
here.
Definitely,
They
I
torture
agree
you.
with. Yeah, definitely. And James,
Yeah.
I actually have a video of one of the ships that approached my house. And Eliana, at first I was threatened, kind of like as Penny was, to be about 4 years ago, to be put into a place because of a dream I posted on Facebook. Now, fortunately, now, they still unconditionally love me, but they don't agree with everything I say. Yeah, but like you said, Eliana, I have proof. It's like I have videos of a ship approaching me, like me facing a ship down. Literally, this thing was like 40, 50 feet from me. People coming to the door, etc. So yeah, there's plenty of proof.
Okay, now I'd like to comment something about the issue of a family attacking Milabs. Now I'm sure it's not just you, Penny. There's many listeners out there who have experiences, and they're afraid to come forward because they're worried their family will attack them, and their family will. And you have to look at it from another perspective, that if you've been through these programs and trained as a super soldier, which apparently you have, Penny, according to your profile, it says that you've assassinated many. I don't want to say the number unless you want to go into it, but what if by our families beating us up, it prevents us from switching into an alter? So basically they're trying to keep us shattered, so they put us into families that abuse us to keep us shattered so that we do not turn on those abilities to become the aggressor, super soldier, whatnot. So in one way, you could say it's positive, but I think it's still, the whole thing is just sick, and it needs to come to an end. Abuse isn't good in any light that I see, in my opinion. Okay, I had a question here that's real quick, yes or no answer. Penny, you've already answered it. Ilana, did you speak German while you were on Mars?
No, I did not speak German, but the thing is, I was fully aware that the Earth was still there, that we were all alive, the Earth was fine. I did not speak German. I spoke other ET languages because I was a linguistic translator. I have etheric implants, linguistic implants in the back of my neck that translate any type of language for me that the SSP put into me for my 60 and back service.
Did they have a version of the internet like we have on Earth, where anybody can log onto a computer and just see all the latest gossip, like Facebook and?
That's disconnected. You have no access to the Earth internet. They have their own internet for their projects and stuff, but not for Earth. You don't have access to see what's going on Earth.
But don't people gossip on the network that Earth may still be around, just like we have here on planet Earth? We gossip about Mars.
It depends what program you're in. It really depends on the level of secrecy or not. It depends which program it is. Some programs know that Earth is there. Some programs don't. The ones that are in the dark with the slavery, they have no idea. The ICC does not allow them to go anywhere near the internet. They're blocked from any communication except local Mars business. And it's all security based on level of access, what you're granted. If you're a slave, you're almost down to 0. If you're a technician or somebody specialized, there's different levels of access for all kinds of different jobs. You don't constantly have one level of access. You jump from lower levels to higher depending on the job that you're doing. So I would say it depends on the program, depends on where you're serving or what you're doing.
Right. Well, Lindsay, what language did you speak when you were on Mars or Phobos?
That's the same. It's kind of the same as Eliana. For example, before I was transferred to Mars, and we will get into this when you and I do the interview, James. Yet, at first, when I was first taken, I was shown, as Penny was, that Earth had been destroyed, and then when I got to Mars, I kind of moved up, I guess you could say. Not really moved up, but then I knew that there was still an Earth because I was being sent to, 9/11 and missions on Earth and being used for these certain things. Now, I am programmed. I do speak ET languages, as Elena does. A few. I mean, I've spoken them to John and a few other people. So yeah.
So it's primarily just multiple language. It wasn't just German, from your perspective.
Not just German.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
No, I had. I was.
And Penny?
I spoke many. Yeah.
Yeah, Penny, did you want to comment?
The ETs that I interacted with were all telepathic, so I wasn't required to know a language.
Okay.
Even languages can be telepathic, different languages, and understanding them and translating them. They can be telepathic. What they do is that if you're into linguistics or you have to be in an ET interaction, they give you etheric implants. And they don't give you the technological implants. They give you etheric ones. So nobody on Earth, no medical doctor will be able to see those implants. They're etheric. They interact with your nervous system and your cranium and your brain. They're all etheric.
I understand.
Your Kundalini.
I had my etheric implants removed in 2014. Earth time. This life. I think of my life in SSP as life 1, and this is life 2. So I had them removed in 2014 and life 2. So I had 270 etheric implants that were all removed.
Yeah, I have the 2 linguistic ones at the back of my neck, and I also have ocular implants that record everything that ever happens to me, all the ET experiences. That's why I have the photographic memory, but that's jammed under harsh lighting like fluorescence and LEDs. It jams those implants and it makes it horrible just to even try to think properly. So my implants have stayed with me because it's part of my life cycle. Like, they're just, I don't have the heart to get them removed because I still have ET contact experiences, and those implants translate what's going on when I'm speaking to them. Because I still have physical contact with ETs. I'm beamed up, I'm abducted. Astrally, I visit ETs and they visit me. So it's those implants are needed. They're there for a specific reason. And the ocular ones, they're just a bonus because it's photographic memory.
As after I started doing interviews, I've started having ET contacts, but they've been telepathic. So I had a man remove a chip from me without asking me first, and he damaged me in the process, and my pineal hasn't worked properly since, and I asked James for a referral to his friend Adrian, and he was able to remove the rest of my CIA chips. So,
and Adrian's website is forceversuspower.com. Just thought I'll mention that.
Adrian was really good. He was kind, considerate, and did me no harm.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's also the nanite technology that's put in our water, into our food.
Femtonite.
Femto. Well, we as just basic people who have no idea call them nanites or femtites. They're put in our air.
It's a lot smaller. Yeah.
It's put
that's
in
true. The chemtrails.
The
through Monarch
chemtrails.
Solutions.
It's put in our air, our water, our food. It's in our showers. I mean, I was infested with 36,000 of these little femtites, and they almost broke my nervous system. And I had to have my uterus and cervix removed because that's where they were centered to get these femtites out of my body, so I could go to work, so I could function, just so I could just basically live normal everyday life. Try my best. I can't even eat most normal foods. I am on a strict diet, like vegetables and almost vegetarian, almost.
And I think
Well,
Penny
I've
also
got
has health
age-
issues.
I've got age regression sickness pretty bad, and my doctor calls it mixed connective tissue autoimmune disorder. And he's actually shocked that I'm still alive. So,
It's your will that's keeping you alive. It's your strength, the strength of your soul, conviction to stay
well,
alive.
I'm pretty sure I still have a mission to do and for whoever sent me to the planet in the first place. So I'm going to be here until that's accomplished, whether or not the SSP and the CIA want me to or not.
Yeah, and I have thyroid issues. I have autoimmune Hashimoto's
That's probably
thyroiditis.
radiation poisoning for thyroid.
The doctor checked out my levels, and I don't have radiation poisoning. But when you're age regressed, and when I was in the secret space program, when I went in, my health was pretty bad. They kept giving me all kinds of serums and liquid drugs to keep me young and to keep me in perfect health. So when you're injected with a bunch of stuff you know nothing about, when you're returned back into your normal Earth life, you know that upkeep of serums is taken away from you, and you're back to the problems that you began with.
Plus
And
damage.
yeah, and God knows more damage than you originally had.
And Lindsay, would you like to comment? Did you have any health issues associated with your time on Mars or the secret space program?
Yeah. Well, because one of the main things that I was trained in, as far as like in my lab with the time travel and being a jumper and a runner and projecting alters into the future and actually going, like for example, going to 9/11. That's just one example, and which I botched the mission that they sent me on, and that's when I was booted to Mars. But anyway, I went through, for example, when you would be projected in this time travel program, you would actually, I'm actually going to have to switch rooms really quickly. Sorry about this, so bear with me. Speaking of, anyway, I actually, sorry. Actually, what happened was when you have to project these alters and yourself into these realities to do their dirty work, to go on these missions and lead people to places to get assassinated or what have you. Now, what you have to do or commit crimes, launder money or do whatever, or convince people to commit crimes, undercover Secret Service agent or CIA, what happens is you cannot leave your altar behind. So basically, you have to go in with your altar, but you have to kill your altar. You have to, because you cannot leave that altar in that timeline, or it will corrupt the timeline. So from the age of 10 and then on up, I suffered from several suicide attempts because I was very used to that self-destruction or self-destruct altar. It was very common. The first time I attempted suicide, I was 10 years old. That's not normal, especially for someone who grew up in a loving household. Very loving, very supportive household. So with that said, and then that even went on to being in my 20s and accumulating 3 DUIs, which attributes also to the drugs that they do give you in the Super Soldier and the Milab and program. It's actually a mind control drug, also known as the date break drug, that actually causes you to act out in criminal acts, things that you wouldn't normally do when you have no memory, and will cause you to have 0 memory. So yes, I suffered a lot. I didn't drive for 7 years. There was a lot of things that happened where that 7 years was very healing for me, because that gave me an opportunity to really break away and really heal and have the confidence and unconditionally love myself in order to come out with with my experiences. So yeah.
Great. Thank you for sharing that with us, Lindsey.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So I was wondering if we could comment about how did everyone become aware that they were part of the secret space program? Were you like, they just put you back and you just all of a sudden you remembered everything, or did it come at a later point in your life? Maybe we'll start with you, Elena. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you have to say about that?
Since I was young, I had no problems with ETs. I knew that ETs were real. I knew that there was other planets out there, other species, and technology. I knew about the medical pods that can actually heal you from anything, regeneration tanks. I had no problem accepting that information because all of that happened to me. So as a kid, I was always aware, and I was psychically intuitive. Like, I could see the future, I can alter timelines, I could quantum leap and time travel. My remote viewing abilities are excellent. So from a young age, I knew that that this was all normal to me. And I always kept telling my grandmother and my parents stories about space and these other ET civilizations, about aliens. I couldn't stop, and I drew it all and acted it out. I would act out scenes of being in the SSP. I tell my mom, well, I was on the ship in a blue uniform and I did language translations, and I talked from ship to ship. I encrypted information. My parents were like, whoa, her imagination's off the Richter. But it wasn't imagination. It was just re-remembering reality, a different reality that you were in, and acting it out without cognizant memory. Like, when I was small, I did not know I was in the SSP. That came later. But I always accepted weird things. The most paranormal weird things, I would just accept it without blinking an eye. So that was normal to me. To other people, it's not. To me, it's like, it's just part of my life. I've always experienced this stuff. So I would say that it's always been normal to me. And the way I got my memories back, it wasn't just instant recall of everything. When I got sick with all the autoimmune issues and all the other health problems, it was just one on top of each other. I had to ask myself, well, why is this happening to me? What's going on? I'm missing parts of my memory. There's something missing in my life. So I started learning shamanism, Native American shamanism, crystal healing, Reiki, Akashic records, anything I could, remote viewing, anything I could get my hands on, spiritually and esoterically, and Wicca magic, white magic. That's what helped me to get my memories back. The shamanism, the soul retrieval, past life regression. I trained myself for past life regression with Native American shaman. I studied with a shaman all 3 levels. I even created my own self-guided meditation because no other meditation would work for me. I had to create my own. Also learning astral travel, like relearning everything that I already knew in the SSP. The reason why the SSP took me is because I'm an ET soul with all of my memories of all of my past ET experiences. That's why they took me. So it was really hard work with the shamanism, the magic. That's what helped me remember all of these memories. And no medication works on me. Nothing. They gave me antidepressants. They gave me medication for migraines, and nothing worked on me. My body would purge all of that, and I'd have to start again to heal myself. I have to self-heal myself, find medication for me, naturopathic medication that works for my body. So it's a bunch of different things, and I'm great at finding information. Anything, I could find you the most rare info you want. I could dig it up easily and give it to you. I'm also naturally trained with weapons, with guns, with all kinds of swords, knives. I have natural training in it because I was when I was in this SPE, it was battle. It's called battle ready training. I was battle ready. I could fight with weapons and I could fight with psionic abilities. I did not like going out in the field. I was research and development. I prefer to stay inside the bases and just be a geek. to find information, to do whatever that was inside work. I did not want to fight, but I was trained for it, and I acted it out physically. In my late 20s, I actually went and got my my firearms license, restricted and non-restricted, and I have swords. I work with battle axes. I train with that. So it's just reenacting what was in that first SSP life, what you were trained to do. You actually reenact that as your memories come back. I like riding motorcycles. I like fast cars. Everything is like, because I did that in the SSP. It relates, it all comes back into your life, and you physically reenact it sometimes, what you experienced in the SSP. You redo it because it's so natural to you.
Yeah, somebody was commenting about applied kinesiology to treat the, I guess, suppressed memories. Does that work? Do you recommend
works.
applied kinesiology? Okay.
I know. I learned applied kinesiology in my crystal course. You can actually also work with a pendulum, and it's a form of kinesiology. You can ask yes or no questions, because it's connected energetically with the energy of your soul. So the pendulum will respond to you, and so will kinesiology. You can use kinesiology to treat ailments, and you can also use kinesiology to deprogram mind control, and you can use kinesiology to answer questions, truth, yes or no questions.
Okay,
So
Lindsay, it looks like you want to comment about that.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with the kinesiology. That has been one way of just confirming memories that did come back to me. But like, it's exactly not exactly, but similar to me. That's how when I was a child, I actually I would see entities. As a child, I would see entities. I would see UFOs. I would watch unsolved mysteries. I would always tell I would tell my parents about space. I would talk about aliens, and I would talk about all kinds of stuff. But I was told that I was silly or crazy or this or that. So with all of my experiences and abductions and etc., I just kept my mouth shut. That's what I did.
So you recall being part of the secret space program even as a young child?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so
they must have age regressed you.
They did. Yeah, that's why, I'm 32 and people tell me I look like I'm, 20, or I actually have makeup on right now. Wait until I don't have makeup. So yeah, I'm 32 and people tell me, I'm like, what? You look like you're 20 or you're this, or what have you. So yeah, definitely I remember the age regression. I remember the night that they put me back in my bed, or put me back to where my parents didn't know I was missing. I woke up, I was under my bed. I was in immense pain. It was as though, kind of, if you could imagine, when you're a child, you have growing pains, but this was not growing pains. I was, between 5 and 6 years old, and I woke up under my bed. Now, why would a child wake up under their bed? And it had felt like, I'm just going to compare it to this, as if living in medieval times, say that they would put your body on one of those stretchers, and just completely stretch your body and stretch it and stretch it and stretch it. And I remember waking up, I could barely, I don't even know how I walked to my mother. But I was hyperventilating. I couldn't breathe. I wasn't running a fever and nothing like that. But I remember that exact time. And I was hyperventilating. I was in such, so yeah. It started then, and then, I remember being in there from a very young age, and then even, of course, now as far as interactions with others and working with people. In these programs, now that usually occurs, for example, with James, when I saw his picture, I was like, oh wow, he lives in, not going to see it right here probably, but I was like, he's not far from
I live
me.
in North Carolina.
Right. Well, anyway, I was like, he lives here, and that was without me even speaking with him. I was like, I know that face. I need to meet up with him, and boom, it happened. And then, our experiences, I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense because I saw you when I was a child, or things like this. So yeah, that's how my memories
Okay.
came, and
Well, how about,
were.
yeah, well, thank you, Lindsay. And how about you, Penny? When did you first realize that you were part of the secret space program?
Well, I started getting my memories back at about the time that I was returned. I'm 61, and they seem to have had better, or should I say more extensive, mind wipes in those days. I'm dual activated 3D and 4D, so as a child I would describe things that I saw. I also have past life memories. Well, my father was a preacher for the Church of Christ, and he decided I was demon possessed. And in lifetime 2, he spent, I'd say, a good 10 years trying to beat the demon out of me. About halfway through, I figured out to keep my mouth shut as much as possible. I was returned the summer before I started kindergarten, and I told the kindergarten teacher that Martians had left me on the doorstep, and she told my mother, who beat the crap out of me, and then told my father, who beat the crap out of me, and I didn't talk about Martians anymore. Being dual activated in that kind of a family, you learn quickly what's 3D and what's 4D and how to tell the difference, because you're only allowed to talk about what's 3D. You're also not allowed to talk about past lives. You're not allowed to talk about life number 1, what you do remember of it, which was mostly flashbacks and nightmares. I was a soldier on Mars. I was a fighter pilot. I was a Valkyrie, a woman fighter pilot in Mars Defense Force. I fought the green reptilians. I fought the mantids. So I have some really nasty flashbacks of battles. And I have some nasty flashbacks of Langley, where I was trained.
Well, can you explain a little bit what happened there, if you don't mind?
Oh, at Langley...
Like, how did they train you?
The initial mind fracture was done by drowning me in a tub repeatedly. And when they held me under too long and I actually died, they'd put me in a regeneration tank and bring me back. So I was well aware that death was not an option. I don't know how long it took me to finally fracture into the required number of pieces. I was not excellent at remote viewing. I was what they called mid-range competency. But I didn't have to be good at it. I just had to be able to locate the target. because I'm a psi weapon. I'm designed to target and destroy. I can either destroy the electronics, or I can destroy the people, or I can destroy both. And that ability is behind an adrenaline wall, which means that I have to be really scared or really pissed to be able to do it. So it's not something I can just do on command. Which has frustrated some of my interviewers because they wanted me to demonstrate my abilities. And I'm like, you really want me to go into a department store and fry all the TVs, huh? Like the department store is going to be happy about that. I really wonder about some of these people, seriously. If they have a clue of what they're asking me to do. Because I've been in the place the Stranger Things calls the Upside Down. I've spent a lot of time in the Upside Down.
Does it look like that in that film, that show? The Upside Down world, where it looks like dreamy, dark, snowy.
It's dark. It's not really snow. It's more like ash. And there are some really nasty critters there. I was at Montauk before Junior was there. So I never encountered that. If I'd had to be there a lot, I probably would have created something similar. I was taken there a couple of times. At the time I was taken there, there were no girls at Montauk. I lived at Langley, and I was transported for my training sessions, and when they were done, they took me back to Langley.
So did they give you like tests? These training sessions where they test, they put you in trip seats, anything like that?
They put me in trip seats. They got frustrated with me. They had to put some sort of a chip in me so they could find me. And I heard them complain. I don't remember the exact words, but the gist of it was that the boys just travel in time, but these damn girls have to travel dimensions. So they had a really hard time finding me a couple of times. I will say the kids that went with me to Montauk didn't all come back. So I don't remember details, just that they didn't all come back. So lifetime 2, researching it, I found out that the loss rate was close to 70% with the boys. And they're not even acknowledging that they used girls. But they did. Lindsey mentioned that she was in it, and the SSP group that 3 of us are in, there are several members there that have privately told me that they too have been in the Montauk chair, and they're all female. The generation that was taken in the 50s, which was mine, everybody that went into SSP was trained in the chair. Men and women. All of us. We had to survive the chair before they would send us to space. So, but the losses were horrendous.
Why were some of these children dying in Montauk? Do you recall? Where did they go?
They got lost in the time tunnel.
Do you think they died, or they just evaporated, or they went to other parallel realities?
The time tunnel, when they show it in movies and stuff, they show it as a a consistently round tunnel, and it's not. It wiggles. And it comes at you, and it feels like it's coming at you, but what you're doing is you're going through it. And it feels like the edges are coming to grab you. And if you don't concentrate on the target at the end and staying in the center of the tunnel, well, you get lost on the sides, and you end up in times and places where they can't find you unless you've been chipped.
Right.
If you've been chipped, then they can open a port and grab you back. But if you haven't been chipped, you're just lost. And then there were the ones that came back, and they were just completely out of their minds. Even mind fractured, they couldn't deal with it. And so,
I mean, couldn't they put them back in the trip seat and repair them, or that still they couldn't fix them?
if your mind is blown, that's beyond the... Putting you back in the trip seat's just going to make it worse.
So they got to put them in a regeneration tank, or even beyond that.
They're beyond the regeneration tank. They were just so damaged that they couldn't come back. And I watched them shoot them. So when you know you've been shot, you know you've been drowned to be broken. You know you've been put in an electric chair when you failed to perform. You know that they play the daisy game where they pull the petals out of the daisy, and if it comes up loves you not, they shoot you between the eyes.
And they put you back in the regeneration tank?
They put you back in the regeneration tank every time. Death is not an option. Your life does not matter to them. And you watch someone come back so damaged that they just shoot them and throw them in the incinerator. They've given up on that one.
We can't possibly expect these people to save us if this is the type of behavior they do.
That's why I keep saying.
Ileana wants to comment about... Yeah, Ileana?
Why I keep saying it's unrealistic to think anyone's going to save us, because that's what these people are like.
Yeah, I have a few corroborations on what Lindsey and Penny said. Like Lindsey, I'm only 32, but I look much younger, because they always gave me some drugs to keep me looking young for missions. Whatever. I was a specialist, a technician, because I can remote view pretty well. I could see the future. I could time travel. So they want to keep you young for those aspects, for those missions. So even at the age of 32, you will look very young. Like, people who look at Lindsey and me think we're in our early 20s, not in our 30s. And like Penny, I was drowned out in cabins in the woods. They would drown me in hot tubs and keep me underwater and see how long I could breathe without breaking. Like, I didn't feel the pain, so they could keep me under for 20 minutes and I wouldn't break. And also, there's the time travel aspect. When I was like 15 to my 20s, they take me out to near the Sierra Nevadas and near the Canadian border, make me open time gate portals, go in and time travel and come out in other places in time, and also just opening a Stargate portal from point A to B from one city to another. And it's called the CERN program. They have a few mini CERNs near the Sierra Nevada and in the Cheyenne Mountains as well. They have two different programs, like Hadron Colliders that can open time-space portals, where you can send stuff through, you can send people through, and they do time travel, quantum leaping. That's all done to get you ready for the SSP. That's the start. The Milabs, the Monarch Industries, the mini CERN program. Those are all to prep you for the SSP. They torture you. They train you to do certain things. Like they activate your abilities fully. Like for me, it's remote viewing, it's time travel, it's healing, it's working with magic and energies and frequencies, and working with Neuralink chairs. Like if you put me in an interface, I can fully activate the technology and work for it no matter where you put me in which chair. I could just activate and work with any technology. It just naturally comes to me without being trained. So it's all interconnecting pieces of information that all of us are sharing here.
Right. Yeah.
Something that people are not mentioning so far in this is that in the altars, whether you're male or female, every one of us has a sex slave altar. This was a quirk of the people doing the breaking. So every one of us were part of the sex trade as well as whatever else they did to us.
Lindsay, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that. I can corroborate that. And also, Penny, as far as the Langley situation, when I was suffering from my headaches, so, in the NASA program, going to be an astronaut, I visited Langley, and I remember walking through the part where they had the pools and etc. And a lot of missing time. Let's just say that. Where I disappeared. I was separated from my grandmother who went with me. And yeah, so I know about the things going on at Langley, so I can corroborate you on that, even though you are older than I am. That also goes back to, we were all three of us speaking up with the age regression, etc. That's how they keep us, on these missions, that they torture us, they prep us to make us strong, and that's, and I'm going to get back to what I said earlier. They have tried to produce these weapons, and they have put us through hell, and they've done a very good job of training weapons, and now, unfortunately for them, they have trained us, let's just say, a little bit too well.
Okay. And Lindsay, can you please comment about some of your Montauk experiences or your trauma experiences, if you recall any of them?
Well, I was used to remote view. I was put in the in the drowning pools or what have you. It was kind of like I would describe it as a tube of sorts, or like a cylindrical tube, to where I was because I am a clairvoyant and I am a psychic or psychic, what have you. Water, for viewers that don't know, activates us when we submerge ourselves in water. Our senses are heightened. So being submerged, I was trained to, well, not trained, but that's one of the ways that they train me to heighten my abilities for remote viewing and etc. In Montauk, to be in this water deprivation chamber. Now, and then I was used, of course, in the trip seat. There were several other things as far as torturous things that I just don't. And I will corroborate Penny's story. I do have memories of seeing the children shot for the little daisy pulling things. Yeah, I don't know if anyone saw my reaction, but almost, also, but like I said, that's what they do. That's what they do. They train you for a very long time, so that when you get up there, you are used to, like I said, they continuously use you to do these things, and they build you up so strong so that nothing phases you anymore, so that you're just used to this kind of stuff. And then people are like, well, why, I've had very close people to me say, why haven't you told me about this until now? Why haven't you, you don't understand. And then, Penny, to go back to your abilities, I've had people say, okay, well, if you can read my mind or if you can hear my thoughts, what am I thinking? I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't. And I'm not going to do it. Like, I choose so many. I fortunately now I can shut it off, very, very, or more easily. But yeah, I can corroborate what both of them are saying. But that's what they do. They with the kidnapping, they use you. I've been there, and I've been through the age regression. I've been through that. They've kept me around. I'm still up there on Mars with the super soldiers. So, and
Yeah. Well,
doing other missions. So, yeah.
I like to comment about one of my experiences. I don't know if it was at Montauk, but I recall seeing I was laying on a table, and all my skin was stripped off, and you could just see the muscle groups, and about maybe 1,000 little tiny little wires that had looked like snake-like appendages, but they're metallic, attached to each one of my muscle groups. And then I saw what appeared to be a visor over my head, and I was seeing myself in some kind of holographic VR setting being burned at the stake. And so you mentioned about being submerged in water, and I saw myself being submerged in fire. What does that symbolize? Is that some kind of ritual they were doing, or maybe? Well, it seems like.
Yeah. They do. They incorporate the because they know the elements. You have the fire element, the water element.
But what does the fire element symbolize?
Right. Well, the fire element, it symbolizes honestly, and it depends on whose hands, who's looking through that symbol. Now, when you get to these syndicates or what have you, they're going to be looking at the fire element as rebirth, renewal or transformation. And what they're going to do that for is they're going to harvest what they call your loosh or your energy through that sacred element, which gives the ritual and your energy, your adrenaline and your fear coming from that they can feed off of. So it's kind of like it's a double empowering thing for them because it's a sacred element, and then it's your energy that they are feeding off of that keeps them going.
Right. Ilana, did you have a question or?
Yeah, I'd like to show you guys something. If I could show you a document, James, of you being stripped off of your skin and wires attached to you in a visor. I have an image of that in one of my disclosure presentations. And Lindsay, the tubes and being in water, I have an image of that as well, where that happened to me in the ICC. And this is already published in one of my presentations on YouTube and on my website in PDF format. So I'd just like to open that document if I could.
I'm worried if you share your screen. Could you just send us the document? We will all view it. Maybe I'll post it on here. Would that be because I'm worried that?
Yes. That's fine. I could do that.
Might lose
I'll send it to you afterwards. But that just confirms it, because I remember sitting in a pool of water with electrodes attached to me and having a visor over my head, remembering ET past lives. That's how the ICC wanted knowledge of those things from me, and that's how they got it. And when they do the age regression, they sometimes they make you think, they put you in a simulated reality before the age regression happens,
Precisely.
where you're stripped of your skin, you have electrodes attached to your muscles, and there's a visor over your head making you think things that are happening to you, but that's in virtual reality. It's seeding those fake memories, mind manipulation. That's what it is.
So that's what creates cover memories.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
Right.
exactly. Yes. And the
Well,
fact that I
well,
have images of this stuff, and this is something I've already published
well,
before we had this interview a few
well,
months before.
you say images. Were these images handed to you, or are these just drawings that you drew or you found online?
It's
Can you?
images from the internet that I psychically found. It's from my memories of what I remember happening in those SSP programs.
Mm,
And I can psychically search the internet and find appropriate images to what I put descriptions to, and I publish it on YouTube in a video presentation with music and wording.
Well, that's
okay.
like for the yeah. Well, that's like I'm just going to throw an example out there for for when I was going to speak at the Mars conference. I tend to psychically search. I was psychically searching images for a PowerPoint, and I stumbled across James. That kind of thing. These psychic images to align us with those also that can actually corroborate our stories, and really get us back in alignment with where we need to be and focused on and really coming out and full disclosure, not this 10-year disclosure program crap, the full disclosure.
Right. Well, here's a question I want to ask before I forget, and this one is actually submitted by an audience member that on a previous interview. I don't know if it was Penny or Elena, but someone wants to know. I guess we could start with you, Elena. What was your reaction when you were first told the Earth was destroyed? Do you remember that moment?
I was never told the Earth was destroyed. When they put me in the SSP program for the 60 time travel and back, I knew the Earth was there. They
Okay.
took me because I'm an ET outbound soul. I'm not a human soul. I'm not from this Earth. I was always an ET, a star traveler. That's why the SSP took me for those abilities to remember those lifetimes and use me to be in the programs to be a special tech in all those
Okay.
various
Thank you. Okay.
jobs.
Yeah, thank you for
So
sharing. And Penny,
yeah.
how about you? What was your reaction when they first told you that?
I had already been mind wiped before I was taken to Mars. So I showed up at Mars with no memory of Earth, and I spoke English instead of German, and I had these abilities that scared the Martian colonists. I remember being in a group of Milabs kids that had all been dumped there together. I don't remember any of the individuals that were there. I was there the same time frame that Andrew Basiago was, but I don't remember him specifically. He might remember me, but it's probable he doesn't. I do remember, while I was still at school, there being an attack where the whole wall of the building came down, and I used my abilities to form a force field around the kids in my class and our teacher.
Oh wow! So I bet they really liked you after that.
Amazingly, when you produce skills like that, it scares the crap out of people, even if you were using it to protect them or help them. So I found that in Lifetime too as well. When you produce unexplainable skills, even if it's to save someone's life, suddenly you're a demon.
And Lindsay, what was your reaction, or do you recall that moment when they told you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Basically, they when I was taken up into the ship, in this Earth time and this life before age regression, what have you, and with my parents and in this era, in the late 80s. Basically, when I was up on the ship, they told me that Earth had been destroyed, that my parents had died during the what have you, and they said that my grandparents were still alive. Now they wouldn't tell me where my grandparents were. Now after that, after I went through very many. I'm sorry, my daughter is knocking on this door right now, but I'll keep going. Anyway, okay. So, guys, can you hold this thought? Can you guys continue?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Sure.
I'm gonna give her a good night. I'm gonna give her a good night kiss. Okay. I'm just gonna mute my mic for 1 second. Okay.
Sure. All right. Well, then, what I could ask, maybe we could start with you, Ilana. What can we do to change the situation that we have with this, at least with the disclosure process? How can we make it increase so we can get this information out to the public? What can be done?
Do more of these interviews, having people sharing their SSP, their Milabs experiences, to have public awareness of what's going on. The more you can corroborate experiences and share information, the more this will add up the data points that this is happening, this is real, there's people coming out with this stuff, and keep doing these interviews. Create your own conferences any way you can. Disclose this information to people, basically. Can I add a little thing about the Earth, the reaction?
Sure.
I had an experience where I was attacked on one of the Mars bases, and I told you this before. I wanted to go home back to Earth because I knew that Earth is there. I was always cognizant. And the moment I thought about going home to Earth, I suddenly got a headache in my implant was activated. I got a headache and a nosebleed, and I just grabbed my head and fell down on the floor. I was staying in a huge room where there was 12 bunks. It's per group unit of workers who are staying together on a project, doing a project together. They stay in the same unit group in the room where they're bunking with about 12 bunks. After my initial reaction was pain too, because I thought about going home to Earth. And the moment I thought that's when the implant was triggered for me to get a migraine and have a nosebleed. After that, I was transferred to a room, to my own room, because I couldn't be around people. Like, I kept hearing people's thoughts, and I kept seeing visions of the future. So I was isolated and transferred into my own room with a basic bathroom and a bed and a table to do my work on. It was somewhere in the same sector as where my group unit was staying in their 12 bunks. It was near them so I could do the work with them, but just thinking about going home, if you are aware, if you're in one of those groups that knows about Earth still being there, if you want to go home and you have thoughts of going home, you're triggered with the implants to have some type of pain, so you stop having those thoughts and urges to go home, to go back.
Right.
Yeah. Because you're either on a base or you're on a ship doing some kind of work, or you're somewhere else in the galaxy doing something else for the SSP. So, and you don't have much access to thoughts of going home because they do something to you to make you feel some sort of pain, or they punish you in another way where you witness something or you do something nasty and you don't want to be thinking of going back or even retaliating.
Exactly. And just to continue where I left off. So when I was taken up, they basically explained to me that I couldn't see my parents. They were killed, and the defamation of Earth and etc. And they said that they knew where my grandparents were and that I would eventually be able to see my grandparents. Now, as time progressed and as time went on, and like I said, when I did kind of continue going through the Milab and the training, etc., off planet, when I was, of course, transferred to Mars, or even before I was transferred to Mars, when I reached a certain age, I eventually, they broke it to me. They found out when they put me into the program to start doing things on Earth. But it was really right before I went to Mars, that I did find out that, yeah, the Earth was still, you know, it was still there. So, well, I mean, I like I said, I knew, and there's some information that just for protection for family that I can't fully disclose right now. So,
Okay. Well, right now, so the question is, what can we do to change the situation? And Lindsay, do you have any comments about that? What can we change? How can we bring about disclosure?
well, we keep doing this sort of thing. We number one, we can't when we okay. Number one, we've got to stop feeling like victims. A lot of people in this field, they feel like victims. They get angry. They're targeted. They feel really messed up, and they hate the government and etc. Now, that's not going to help anything. What we need to do, we need to take back our power, and by taking back our power, we learn how to transmute. We learn how to transmute. Look, I get so many people coming to me. I'm targeted. I'm targeted. I'm targeted. Look, everybody's targeted. Even people who aren't awakened. Even people who eat. Okay, if you're taking a shower, you are being hit with fluoride if you live in a city, okay? If you're breathing in chemtrails, you are breathing in nanobot technology. I tested positive a few months ago for a snake bite. I've never been bitten by a snake, okay? That's what they do with these little nanobots. They can put anything. So everyone's being targeted. Stop playing the poor me card. Let's get over it and let's get down to business. Time is of the essence here. That's one thing we have to think about, because we are right now at a pinnacle of where the Earth, humanity, the Earth, and the success of our species and the Earth depends on mass awakening and mass disclosure. And we have to come together. We have to unite. We have to stop discrediting others. But at the same time, we have to use discernment. We have to come together. We can't sit here in this field and say, oh, well, there's at least 3 million people that are involved in this, but don't believe any of them. Things like this, we can't do that. We've got to come together. We have to unite. And and like I said, we have to use discernment. We have to learn how to transmute. We have to really go within. We have to really go within, and we have to live our passion, and we have to understand that there are ways. There are ways to help yourself. There are ways, there are communities, there are blogs that you can read. You don't have to ask, you don't have to constantly ask a public figure like us or anyone else. You don't have to ask us, hey, do you have a link for us? You need to trust your own intuition and know that you're energetically, whatever you type in, the universe is going to send what you need to know, and it's going to ring a bell. If it doesn't sit well with you, that's fine. That's fine. Move on to something else. But the age of the guru is over. Yes, we are walking each other home, but it's really time for us to be responsible for ourselves and our own life path, and really start, continuing this and stepping into our mission and stepping into our original program before they deprogrammed us and did all of this stuff to us. Now, with that said, we are still, and some of us are still in these programs, like James and I, but we have to use these strengths and what we've been through. We have to use them to our advantage, to continue disclosing the full truth and the full disclosure. So, yeah, that's...
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Lindsay, for sharing that. And I want to mention something here, that the vast majority of the world population is suffering from Stockholm Syndrome, where they are being abused by the abusers so much that they're like little puppies licking at the feet of their masters, hoping for scraps of food. And if we were to try to go in there, because I know Penny, we were talking about this, what you propose, that they need to be brought to justice, and justice is not just sterilization, it's extermination. And certainly there are cyborg super soldier armies being produced right now to take care of that situation if that was to arise. But what do you propose for what do you think would be the best way to bring about the end of all this madness?
Me?
Yeah. What do you think?
I've been looking very carefully at the political situation in the United States and through Europe and the Middle East and Africa. As long as the majority of the population is sitting there arguing over which fascist dictator they want to rule them, I don't see us getting very far. That's the bottom line. As long as they want someone who's going to be a protector daddy or a bully mama, there's not a lot we're going to do that's going to change this. What I would like to see is those of us who remember the tech talk to people that are smart enough and not mentally blocked by implants and try to get the tech established on Earth. Just bypass them. If they no longer have a lock on the technology, they're going to lose a lot of power. That's number one. And by the tech, I mean 0-point energy, anti-grav, propulsion, replicators that can produce food and clothing, and regeneration machines that regeneration whatever tech, whether it's the tables or the tanks like I was dumped in.
The holographic examination table.
Or the medical pods.
Exactly. I from my point of view, what I remember is a big thing that looked like the first generation of the MRI machine with a lid at the top, and they just dump you in. And it's filled with a green goo and you go to sleep in it, and you can breathe the goo, and when they pull you out, they hose you off and put clothes on you and send you back to work. That's what I remember. That's what they used on me so much. And that by itself, those 4 items would revolutionize the planet. If we have enough food, enough power, and we're
Replicator
healthy,
technology.
those 4 things, they would lose control over us overnight. And then you would just have people going nuts because their paradigm was broke.
Penny, can I add something to it about the regeneration MRI looking style bed? I have an image of it. It's for me it was white goo. It's called mimetic gel. You go into it, it slides you in. The mimetic gel surrounds you and it heals you. And then once you're done, you're out of that bed and you're all healed. And the regen tanks, if you have any type of psychic trauma, mental trauma, the regen tank just regenerates that and fixes that up for you, and any physical scarring as well, or that MRI type bed. Like, I have images of that in the presentation. So again, you've corroborated a point for me.
And I've seen green goo as well in those tanks.
That was
green
the
goo.
version that I had been in, and as a pilot, I was told any time that I ran across human remains, if I could bring back the brain so that they would have memories intact, that they could regenerate the person.
That's so true.
So that was part of my task. Not only was I to fight the enemy, but if I found remains, I was supposed to bring back the brain.
And
James?
Yes?
Could you put some of those images, I'll send them to you, of the mimetic gel in the bed, the pool with a person in it with electrodes remembering memories and the skin peeling thing. Can you put that in the videos?
Yes, sure. We can certainly go over all that. And I've got some photos, drawings of myself that would be relevant as well.
So we can actually have some physical images of what we're talking about.
Yes, for sure.
So what I recommend is those of us who were really there start talking. While I would like to believe they can't kill all of us, I know they probably can. But as has been pointed out, we're pretty tough. I've survived, at this point, almost 30 things that should have killed me, and they didn't. And I'm still here, and I'm still making enough sense to make them miserable. So, I don't see how we're going to overcome the power structure on the planet until we overcome the supply structure on the planet.
That's right. We can make them all irrelevant overnight. We won't even need to sterilize and exterminate them because the parasites will be cut off from their food source.
Exactly.
They'll probably self-destruct themselves, like a bunch of alpha males fighting with each other.
It's like we need to share our truth, what happened to us, and corroborate with data points, because in this one little interview, we've shared experiences that we can just click to and say, oh yeah, that happened to me. Oh my God, I have images of this. Not like physical photos that I took or something. It's CGI graphics of images that what you guys described and I found on the internet. So it's like, it's amazing.
You know, under the law, back before the internet age, all it took were 3 corroborating witnesses for a fact to be established in a court of law. We have 3 corroborating witnesses right here, plus an interviewer that can corroborate others.
We had someone else that was going to join us too, but he was busy tonight, unfortunately. So there's a lot of people out there that can collaborate this, for sure.
If we're all on the same page and telling the same story, eventually the big names are going to have to hear us. And the public's already starting to. From the time of my first interview, which was in September, I've had over 500 people contact me wanting more information. And I don't even have a website. I was just doing a handful of interviews so that if they succeeded in killing me, my story would be out there.
Didn't you recently have some kind of injection for your pain?
Yeah, I had an epidural on December 2nd, and this is December 11th, and I'm still in the post-epidural migraine phase. It lasts about 2 weeks, and when I had my glasses off, it showed the dark circles around my eyes, and that's still in effect. I have diabetes, and the injection messed with the diabetes. I've lost 8 pounds since the 2nd, and I'm generally doing as well as can be expected, but my hands are no longer numb, and I'm no longer having my legs fall out from under me when I walk. So it's worth it.
And I can sympathize with you, Penny, because I have such bad migraines since September. Sometimes I can't go to work because I used to wear these tinted glasses that are weighed a pound. They're too heavy for me. I can't wear them anymore. So at work I suffer under fluorescent lighting, and I have baggy circles under my eyes as well. It's just something we put up with because of the neurological damage done in these programs with the age regression and the viruses and all of that stuff, autoimmune issues.
I did find something. I haven't worn it on this interview, but I wear it the rest of the time. It's called a brain cap. and it's an EMF blocker fabric. It's silver embedded into a nylon cap, and it stops my CIA handler from being able to talk to me with Voice of God tech. And apparently they can't get a lock on me to kidnap me in my sleep while I'm wearing it, because I haven't been abducted since I've gotten the thing. Yay!
Good. Well, we should put a link to that technology in the video where people can purchase one of those if they so choose. And Lindsey, you've been very quiet. Do you recall being in the tanks? Did you ever see any of the goos or?
Yeah. I do. I recall everything. I can corroborate exactly what all of you guys said. And also, they have very new technology now, guys. They've got some new stuff out there. Literally, you don't even have to sit on a table. You just walk into a cylinder glass tube to where you are regenerated with ultrasonic and ultrasound like frequencies.
Wow.
Very quickly.
Wow.
Very quickly.
We can make doctors obsolete.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It'd be like calling the cable repair guy.
Well, the thing is this is what they'll do. It's like they'll be using something up there, and what normally happens is someone who is working up there as well will come back and create something similar. I mean, Australia, doctors in Australia right now are healing people with cancer with these little ultrasonic devices that are just emitting sound frequencies. So yeah,
okay.
I mean, they don't need the stuff that they used to use. I mean, it's getting very high. Not getting it. It is high tech. Like you said, Penny, I totally agree. When we can use this free energy and get rid of wanting some daddy or governing figure, when we figure out that the age of the guru is over and it's time to take back our own power, that's when real change is going to happen.
Right.
And not buying into a narrative.
Right.
This
exactly.
is my partner walking back and forth behind me, and he's extremely supportive. So
That's good to
amazing.
have someone, to help you out.
Yeah, it's awesome to have someone that's supportive. That's amazing. It's rare. It's really rare.
And can I ask a question of Lindsey?
Yeah.
In the beginning, you said that we're not making up these stories. Corey Good has said that, we've all watched his show and we've just bought into the fantasy of his mission and life narrative.
There weren't people coming out with this before he said anything. I didn't have memories as a child of this. I didn't fear for my life before he even became a public figure. And, come on. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to buy the Ancient Aliens video games.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing. I'm sorry. I don't need a video game named after me. I don't need to be on television. I just want to help the world. I want to help humanity. I want to save this. I want to be the change that I want to see in this world. I want to give people back their power. I want to help them. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, Corey Good has said about you, I believe you, Elena, that there's a person from the Ukraine who is now making rounds and actively seeking interviews to speak on these subjects. I've confirmed 100% that this person has zero connection to the secret space program other than being an abductee of the military space program after an ET had abducted them in the early 1990s and early 2000s.
Should I really right now blow the cover on Corey and who he's involved with and who Corey made a deal with? Should I just really go for that right now?
Yes, please do.
Please.
Is the public ready for this? Corey Good, are you ready for this? Because now he's going to come after me probably. But Corey Good, everyone. All right, let's just say this. He is one of the ones that made a deal with the G20 group on the 10-year disclosure program. Let's just say that.
What does that mean?
Okay. Basically, the G20 group, you can anyone can Google it. It's basically a gathering of nations who promise a certain individual or who comes forward with any information or what have you, or even technology, free energy technology. They promise them, oh, we're gonna get this information out there. We're gonna get this free energy out there. We're gonna do this. But basically they have to end up signing a contract to say that that they can only disclose so much, because they fear that the American public can't handle the truth. They can't handle just an energy or an information dump, which is bullshit, because people have been asking for this for quite some time. If people are really responding to Corey Goode, that's fine. Everyone told me, be careful. I've had this information for quite some time, okay? Everyone told me, be careful, Lindsay. You don't know if you want to say this about him. You don't know if you want to. But when I found, just when James said that he was speaking about Elena, that's not right. I'm sorry. I don't. Maybe it's the Libra in me. Maybe it's the super soldier in me. But you don't F with my people like that. And I'm just gonna go on the record for this. This is the first time that Elena and I have ever even spoken, and both of us being psychic, intuitives, and clairvoyants, I don't know, but tell me the last time that Corey Goode was remote viewing or reading people's thoughts and working as a clairvoyant. So anyway, with that said, I'm not going to sit back and let him bash people like that. It's just not fair.
Okay.
If you really want to know the truth, there is a 10-year disclosure program out there. It allots the G20 group, these 20 different nations, to basically take control of the disclosure program. It gives them 10 more years to harvest slaves, kidnap, and etc.
Now, what would you say to this comment from Corey Goode? Some of these people are cooking up detailed stories for attention, while others may fall under the influence of some of the voice of God technology that is floating around. I don't think most of these people are being malicious or understand how much damage they are doing to disclosure, in all caps, or their fellow humans who are trying to learn and make sense out of the new information being disclosed to the public right now. Would someone like to comment?
Yeah, I would, because you know what? I'm really comfortable. I'm really, really, really happy. I'm getting a lot of attention right now here, sitting on the floor in a bedroom, speaking on my mobile phone. Yeah, this is so effing glorifying, Corey Goode. Thank you. Sorry, but no, it's not. I mean, come on. I'm sorry. No, I'm going to stop saying I'm sorry, but I don't have time. I don't have time. That he's being completely hypocritical. He's saying that people like us are damaging. He's holding back so much. I mean, you guys, viewers, and all three of you can look at how much he and David Wilcock were pumping out on Gaia TV when they first started. It was like 3-4 episodes a month. Now it's maybe one if you're lucky. Maybe one. Okay, so they're holding back a lot. So I don't want to hear it, and that's why they are discrediting us. That's why they're attempting to discredit people who are going full disclosure.
Yeah, and okay. I had a few emails back and forth with Corey. I actually sent him my images of the Mars base sites for the ICC and other places that I marked off on Google from my own memory. And it freaked him out. That's when he discredited me, because I actually put all of this on YouTube on my channel. And we did that in the interview, James, where Adrian remote viewed those bases. So it was an hour interview. It was one of my presentations. I asked Corey, can you corroborate any of those base locations? And he did not answer me in the email. Instead, he went after me that, like, I don't have contact with ETs, I'm a fake, I'm a liar, that I'm a danger to children, that I'm a bad influence. He leaked our private emails conversation in his document. He told me that this is private and confidential. That was the title of the email subject. And he put this on the internet himself. I'm sorry, Corey. You can't keep any private conversation actually private. You have to make an example of somebody in put out private conversations marked confidential, parts of the email. Those are quotes from the email. He put it out there without asking my permission. I don't accept that. I'm sorry, Corey. I don't believe you.
But you have to at least agree. I mean, he's presented so much information to the public. He's actually done something good, and it's good that the secret space program is finally starting to release something. So
Right,
at least
right.
give him credit for that.
Yeah, James, I do
But-
agree. I do agree with that. I do give him credit for
I
that.
don't.
But-
I see him putting out advertising for recruitment. I don't see him doing disclosure. He has carefully, even clearly stated in some of the interviews that he's done, that he's careful to not incriminate himself. He's not touching the truth of the secret space program, that it's built on kidnapping, mind torture, slavery, and turning kidnapped people into cyborgs and selling them to ETs.
Correct, Penny.
That's
I-
what he's not saying that because he doesn't want to incriminate himself. Come on.
Right, yeah, Penny, I
If he was
couldn't.
really a kidnapped, mind-controlled person like we were,
Okay. All right. Well.
he should be found innocent anyway.
Yeah. Well, we're starting to run out of time. Well, actually, we're way past time. But I wanted Elena to comment one more thing because we were talking yesterday about your remote viewing abilities. I believe it was remote. No, it was your time travel abilities, where you saw what happened in the parallel reality where Hillary Clinton won the election. Can you explain that, and what also happened when Donald Trump won the election, going into the future timeline?
Well, okay, Hillary Clinton never won an election anywhere. So I told this information 3 months ago to another person, and they totally disregarded it. But anyways, back to the story. I was looking up symbols about time travel. I was actually making images of time travel vortexes. And when I traveled in one of those vortexes, I saw a blue scorpion climbing up the ladder on a prominent timeline that we're in. And the energy felt like, to me it said Hillary Clinton is on her way to becoming president, She was set up specifically by certain factions of the cabal to win. But there were people blocking her. The scorpion was slowly falling off of the timeline. And that was 3 months ago, prior to the November election being won by Donald Trump. So in a few days,
Saying that.
yeah, in a few days before the election was won, I did another time travel where I actually blocked Hillary Clinton from winning the election. And the Time Corp aspect of the SSP programs, there is a Time Corp program, the Time Traveler program, that I was in and that other people were in.
Did you know John Titor?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Oh, okay.
So these time travelers in the Time Corp group of the SSP, they blocked her energy from winning the presidential election. The cabal set her up to win. They blocked her and I blocked her. And it's in one of my time travel mind map things that I mapped out. We blocked her. I knew already 3 months ago that Donald Trump would win. And I was asked on the Max Steel show, so do you know who's going to win this election? And I said, I'm sorry, that's going to be a surprise. I can't tell you. I already knew, but I couldn't say anything. So, and to double check this thing, I actually went and looked at Hillary Clinton's horoscope, and she's a Scorpio rising. That's her horoscope sign, Scorpio. That's her dominant energy. She fell off, her blue scorpion fell off the timeline 3 months ago.
And then I mentioned to you that Scorpion Corporation runs Montauk. So, I don't know, that sounds like another synchronicity there. Yeah.
And then I mentioned in a few of the SSP groups and somewhere else on somebody's post that I saw Hillary Clinton fall off the timeline. And I told this to a close friend of mine as well, who I work with. She just smiled and she's like, yeah, I knew Donald Trump would win because certain factions of the SSP wanted him in. The Earth Alliance wanted him to win. They stand 100% behind him because I saw, well, James, yes, it's true. I did see a timeline where Hillary won the presidency and she caused World War III with chemical bombings in certain places in the world. So she couldn't be allowed to win. That's why the FBI embarrassed her with that email server scandal. If she had potentially won in this timeline, there would be World War III right now with chemical warfare back and forth between countries. So she was stopped from becoming president. I saw that in a future timeline as a possibility. If she had won, she never won, but if she had, that would have happened, World War III.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And so what I'd like to do right now is just go around the roundtable and just give everybody an opportunity to share their contact information, their website, or any books they've written or plan to write. Or okay, maybe we'll start with you, Penny. Do you want to give your contact information out?
I'd rather not. People are finding me as it is.
Okay. No website?
I haven't done a website and I haven't written a book. I'm still working on memory recovery because I feel I'm at about 30% memory recovered right now. And I had been more working on alter reintegration. And even with native shamanism, that's a long, drawn-out process. So I've got 2 Facebook groups that I admin, and they're keeping me plenty busy.
All right. And how about you, Lindsay? Do you have a website or a book?
Well, I did have a website, and it was worldascensionconference.com, but I actually scrapped the website and 5 years of work and gave up 15,000 likes and fans.
Wow.
Just scrapped it all because humans need to learn how to transmute before they even think about ascending. So we are planning, a conference in September of next year with World Trust Media. But there are some things I'm working on that I'm kind of trying to keep quiet right now. But for right now, you can find me on Facebook. That's really all the information I want to give out. And James and I are going to be working together pretty soon too. So like I said, Lindsey Ellison Hooper, Lindsey Ellison, Elocin, Hooper, Hooper. But that's really my all my contact I want to give for right now. So
okay, thank you, Lindsay and Elena. So could you share your contact information or any books or any maybe future projects?
I did compile a compendium on crystal healing, and it's called Crystal Grids, The Art of Healing with Crystals. It's not going to be a published book. It's just my own little ebook thing that I combine compendium of good information, references and stuff to healing. That's on my website, Messages from a Star Traveler, in the PDF section. So anybody who wants to look at it, they can. It's for private use only. It's not ever going to be published. I put it out there as a resource for healing for people if they want to learn about crystals. And it's just basically a compilation of some of my information, other resources on the internet. That's why it's an unofficial ebook. It's not for public usage. It's only for private learning.
And where can we find that?
On Messages from a Star Traveler, my website, in the PDF sections, PDF files. And also I have a YouTube channel, Awakening Cosmic Reality Show, where I tape various interviews with folks And also I do my own video presentations with information about SSP disclosure, spirituality, healing, UFOs, etc., etc. So it's Messages from a Star Traveler for my website and Awakening Cosmic Reality Show for my YouTube channel. And I just want to mention that people shouldn't be afraid to come out and do these shows and stuff, to come out on YouTube, to talk about it, do videos. Even if you're working in a well-known job, the people who want to hire you will hire you based on your credentials, on what you can do. So don't be afraid to come out, because the world is changing, and we shouldn't be afraid to come out and speak about these subjects. Even if you're applying for a job and somebody looks you up on the internet, what you do, tell them it's your hobby, it's something you're passionate about, something that you're researching, you're interested in, it's your life experiences, stories, and you have the right to share that on your YouTube channel or your website, because that's well something said. Outside of your mainframe job. You're not going to be talking about these things at your work in the 3D world. Work is where you come to work and do your job, which you're paid for. Your outside interests and your life experiences and hobbies are your own to do with. And if that's on the internet, that's part of your life, and you have the right to express that in your world. And for others to look at or not look at, we all have free will, free choice in using our discernment to make our own decisions and learn this way.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And does anybody else have any final comments?
No, I think that's about it. But yeah, I just thank you all. Thank you all. I think this has been a great, great roundtable discussion. And, no offense to Corey Good out there. I really didn't plan on getting that heated, guys, everyone. But, here's the thing. Full disclosure, it's got to happen. We can't sit around anymore. Time is of the essence. So, just.
So I'll forward all the hate mail to you, Lindsay. Just kidding.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. I'm sure they'll send it to me too.
I was gonna say you guys made me do it. You guys just pulled it out of me. I've been holding this back for quite some time, but the truth is the truth. I'm not bearing false witness. It's something that came straight from a very trusted source. So that's all I can say. I want to protect everyone in this situation.
Yeah,
Men in Black will probably be knocking at my door tonight, but that's okay.
And to add to Lindsay's comment about Corey, I didn't want to talk about any of what we discussed in the email. When you discredited me, I just wanted to forget about it and not mention it in any interviews, but it sort of came out. So, I didn't want to go into it again, but it came out and I had to tell the truth too. Sorry, Corey, I didn't believe anything that you sent me in the emails and what we discussed. I felt my own truth about being in the SSP programs. The energies felt like truth to me. I just couldn't believe what you wrote to me, and you disrespected me, and I don't think you should do that to people anymore. Let people tell their stories, their experiences. Let people wake up and let people understand what happened to them and why without you interfering in their lives. So sorry, Corey.
Yeah, and
people do what they need to.
Peter's actually confirmed that what you said is you were part of these programs. Peter, the insider with the ACIO.
Yeah, I had a 3-hour intensive discussion with Peter on Skype, and I sent him the Mars images as well with the marked locations on Google Maps of Mars and Moon where I went, and Peter was quite interested in those images. He said, yeah, you've been there. So I'm not saying that that's an official veto and that I've been approved, because even I am open-minded about these things. So, but information, what we talked about here, corroborates some of our experiences. So it's out there. So Corey, don't try to discredit people or put your own narrative on others. Let people use their own discernment to figure out their truth and see what's out there and make up their own minds whether to look at any of this or not. It's up to us to make these decisions, not you.
Well said. Thank you.
Yeah, very well said. Thank you.
I think we need to do this roundtable more often. Maybe I was thinking maybe every 6 weeks or once every other month. Unless anyone objects to that.
I'm for it. So
okay, sure. If we all have more information to bring to the plate, and that's why I like to ask the audience members to write any questions that you may have, so we can answer them.
Definitely, especially since I'll be heading up there this coming week for you with you, James. So
yeah, we're gonna do some filming together, and that those videos will be out probably early January. We'll get that available. And
they might.
And also I'd like to mention, please visit supersoldiertalk.com, where you can see not only this interview but other interviews as well, and also subscribe to this YouTube channel where you can continue to get more updates. And so yeah, I guess that's it. So thank you everybody for listening in, and thank you all the guests, Lindsey, Penny, and Elena, for sharing, and thank you listeners, and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ooh. All right, we're done. So.
Well, that was amazing, you guys.
Please consider supporting Super Soldier Talk by purchasing your own Neo Meditation device. Your Neo Meditation device will help you reduce stress, integrate trauma, enhance intuition, enhance clairvoyance, and enhance creativity. Get yours now at www.neologicaltech.com.